Okay, guys, come on in. Make yourselves at home.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this last minute. I really appreciate it. I had a sick dog today.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, huh?
No, he's fine. But
Sure?
yes,
Everything's
yeah,
okay?
no, everything's fine. But just had to go to the vet and had to have a couple of blood tests and that sort of
My
thing.
gosh.
And just feeling a little bit sorry for himself. So wanted to be at home with me. Yeah,
Totally fair.
and husband works away, so just
All hands on deck.
me and the dog.
Are you
Holding
okay?
strong. I'm okay.
Okay.
Luckily, it's not our first rodeo.
Okay.
He's a little bit curious. No, it was. We reckon we ate something.
Yeah.
Made him feel a bit sick. Had to
Okay.
pump his stomach.
Wow. Big day out.
Yeah, big day out.
Hell.
But that's okay.
Okay.
That's
we
all
were
right.
more than happy to come up. Your house is beautiful.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
I love the view.
beautiful.
Good spot.
Seriously.
Good spot.
Yeah.
Well
Yes.
done.
It's great in the summer.
On the
The
beach.
nights are, just
Beautiful.
gorgeous.
Mm.
So yes, very lucky. Very
Gorgeous.
spoiled for choice. How was your day? Good.
Good for a Wednesday. I can't
Absolutely.
believe it's
Hump
Wednesday,
day.
right? I know.
Yes.
At the end of it, thank God.
Hey, that's tomorrow.
Yes, which we're always happy about.
We are always
Before the
happy about
weekend.
payday. Yes.
But no, good day. I think everything. No one died. No one
Well,
died.
that's good. That is always a positive. We don't
yes.
want. I mean,
Ideally, no.
ideally, no,
Mm.
no. That's right.
Yeah, but
So,
no, good
well, yes. Thank you again for
Mm.
coming. I really
Pleasure.
appreciate it. Please make yourselves at home. I've got
Thank you.
water, cookies.
Thank
I
you.
noticed.
You
I
know
did.
how to make us
Yeah,
at home.
I reckon.
I did. I had to stop past, and I thought, what is something yummy and
Mm.
inviting?
Wow.
What about a triple chopped cookie?
Who's
It's
going to say no?
delicious.
Yeah,
It's
brilliant.
delicious.
Good job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stop me from eating the
Yeah.
waffles.
Oh, you've got a suit to fit in, honey.
That's
Yeah.
Oh, I'm loving this vibe already.
Yeah.
You guys are great. Oh, it's so nice to actually sit down and chat with you guys. Because yes, I guess Courtney and Dylan, we met at Hannah and Michael's wedding.
Feels like forever.
It was
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah, that has just gone so quick.
Very
hasn't it?
quick.
And they've got a baby now.
Oh my
which
goodness.
is- Little Christopher, he's so cute.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, time has flown.
That is, it just goes by so quickly.
It does.
And I do honestly feel that we just are involved in all of that. Yes, it's the wedding and you get the ceremony done, but you do kind of like keep tabs on their
Yeah,
lives, and
of
it's
course.
just so lovely to see them just going on and celebrating. And
Yeah.
how wonderful! So
Beautiful.
yes, but we didn't get to talk a lot
Mm.
at Hannah and
It was a
Michael's
busy
wedding.
time,
Yes.
yeah.
Thanks for making the time.
Yes.
It was
Of course.
so appreciated.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't had anyone do that before at a wedding.
Come up to you screaming afterwards.
I thought of that.
Oh,
He almost was like, let her be. She's
no.
doing a job.
I
let her
love
be.
the enthusiasm.
But what we figured, like when it was a ceremony and we were there, and obviously it was all heightened emotions and we were very excited.
Yes.
But it was amazing. And straight after, I was like, why would you not just approach that? If that's what you think you want, then pounce on it.
Yeah.
Go get it,
yeah,
girl.
exactly.
Yes, I love it.
I'm glad she did.
Great.
Because
Yeah.
You were fun when
You
I-
definitely would have done it though too, right?
Right, Dylan?
I thought about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know, reputation of
Gotta be the man.
Yes,
Gotta be the man.
yes, true.
So tell me a little bit about why. I guess,
Mm.
I love to hear feedback from people in terms of, it kind of gets me to know you guys more. So what was it about the ceremony that you liked?
What do you reckon, babe?
I guess it just felt very them.
Yeah,
Didn't it?
it's just such a comfortable experience.
Yes.
Yeah, a very personalised.
Yes. Yeah, it was like you knew them 100, like as well as we did, which is amazing. We know them
Job
pretty
done.
well, so.
Those little silly jokes that you added
Yes.
into, we were like, when did she find out?
Yes.
Well,
seriously.
look, I always say to my couples, don't tell me anything if you don't want me to include it in
I
your
will leave it
ceremony.
in.
But they were honestly so cruisy, and they said to me, look, if you tap onto anything, just do it. Just ad-lib it in, just do that, and because that reflects who they are, and that's what I'm all about.
And I think that's probably what we saw was that relaxed, comfortable, felt like
Yeah.
you knew them vibe. Like it didn't. We've been to ceremonies before where you rock up and it's like and it's very stiff and stark, and it's like you just
Oh,
want to get out there.
That
and-
chick that had to pull up her ass.
Oh,
Oh.
so no, but it's true. She
Yeah,
just
it was
stood there,
awful.
stock still,
Okay.
red, and it was just terrible. It was
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, obviously, yes, it's a wedding, you want to appreciate it, but we just couldn't wait for it to be over. Well, most people couldn't wait for it to be over. Whereas with yours, it was like we were taking this journey with them through their life and
Yeah.
through their love, and it just, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about
Oh,
it, because it just felt Wonderful.
Yes.
And that's what we want. We don't want it to be too
Yes.
stiff, too starchy.
And look, you know, there's
Yes.
styles for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's why there's so many different types of celebrants, and some celebrants find their niche and they stick with that. Other celebrants have, you know, they're a little bit more flexible depending on the couple, and that is the beauty of this industry, is that, you know, the wedding ceremony is not just the official ceremony, it's what you want to make it, and that is what I really love about it, because it can be as personable as you want, or it can be as structured as you want, just depending on your style. So that's the absolute, you know, it's just, and it's really lovely to hear all that feedback, because it makes me know that I think what I'm doing is going down the right path.
Totally. Considering that was one of your first.
Yes,
like,
it
that
was.
blows my mind. You never would have known.
Yeah.
You're so
Thank you.
confident.
Thank you.
Considering
Yes.
that was a year and a bit ago now.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and they were my first couple I ever booked, so they will always hold a very special place in my heart.
That's beautiful.
Yes. So, okay, well, seeing as we've kind of crossed that, tell me a little bit more about yourselves, because we didn't obviously get to chat more in depth. It was very quick and you wanted to set up a meeting and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So Courtney, tell me a bit about what you do, where you work, who you are.
Yes.
Who is Courtney?
Yes, Courtney is this. You get what you see what you get. I work for ECH as a fitness leader, so I work alongside physiotherapists, EPs, podiatrists, massage therapists, to work alongside the elder clients that we have, and to keep them fit and strong and able. So I run a myriad of different classes for them all day, every day. And
She's an inspiration.
it's amazing, but they inspire me. Thanks, honey.
Well, I mean, when I get older, you need to look after me like
I'm
that.
gonna
so-
make you
yes,
squat.
that's right.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to keep these bones
We're gonna be
working
fit
well?
old people. I
I've
guess
got
I'm
high expectations.
I'm gonna fulfill that. Don't worry.
Thanks.
So yeah, that's what I do, and I love it. I honestly really love it. It's they inspire me. I think probably even more than. I
Who would be
hope
your
to.
oldest client?
Ooh, currently I have a 104-year-old gentleman. Yes. We had cupcakes for him the other day.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Brian, he's so sweet. He actually lives in one of our independent living units right next door to the gym. So he comes over 3 times a week. And
Good on him.
He is incredible. If I can be that, I guess, inspirational. If I can be that inspirational at that age and still going and going strong,
Kudos.
Bring it on.
Job
You better
done.
be there with me.
Yeah.
No.
And what do you do, Dylan? Tell me a bit more about
So I work for Commonwealth Bank. It's a pretty cruisy job for me anyway. I coach lenders anywhere from Gambia up to Port Lincoln to Mildura.
Okay.
Involves a little bit of travel.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you have to go and stay away for a few nights.
Couple of nights, once a
Yeah.
month. It's not too bad though. I get some space.
It's good. Have that time
It's
apart.
healthy.
It
is healthy.
Yeah.
You've got to be yourselves, and you've got to be a couple, and who you are in that relationship is as much as you as an individual as you are together.
Yeah.
So it's really important.
Well, and it is a nice break because you go home at 3:30. I work from home a lot, so we do get to spend a lot of quality time together, which is nice.
Yes. But having that time to yourself, I get to have dinner with the girls. I get to sleep in way later than you usually let me sleep in.
Yeah.
So it's nice just to have that, and knowing that we sort of have that on a regular. We tolerate each other.
It's almost something we look forward to.
Yeah,
Well, I do.
totally, and not in a bad way. I think we've really learned to appreciate that about our relationship. So it's good.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, why don't I tell you a little bit more
Yes.
about me?
Yes. Very
So,
good.
I actually the celebrant side of things is another part of my job. So I actually have 2 jobs.
What?
I do have a full-time job.
Wow, as well as.
So I actually, I actually work, I guess, kind of similar field to you. I'm an allied health professional.
Nice, excellent.
I work as a occupational therapist in the community.
Excellent.
So Monday to Friday, that's my job. I work with people who have a vision impairment.
Wow.
So anyone from, Sophie, who might be 5 or 6 years old, up to Brian, who's 104.
Yeah.
So, we...
Lord knows he needs that cane.
Well, yes, yeah. The eyes do deteriorate.
They do, bless.
But I love my job, and actually a lot of what I apply to my job in that role, I apply into my role as a celebrant as well. So I'm all about creating meaningful connections, meaningful outcomes, something that's purposeful for whoever I'm working with, whether that's, 104-year-old Brian or a wonderful couple. I treat everyone the same.
Yeah.
And so I just like to bring that into both worlds, and I honestly love both of them. I really do. I get different joys out of them. I think what originally started me going down this pathway was my own wedding about 18 months ago. I just went, you know what, after the whole ceremony, wedding, we just had the best time. We had a wonderful celebrant, and I really was missing something. I enjoyed the planning, and I thought, well, what can I do? And a girlfriend of mine, just off the cuff, said it to me, and I went, oh, actually,
Planted the seed.
be a good idea. Did a little bit of research, and here we are.
Nice.
So that's
Very good. So how do you go? So you're working full time,
Yes.
which I know is pretty hectic.
Yes.
When you get home, you kind of just want to crap out for a little bit. How do you go juggling that and this? This is obviously a pretty big deal.
It is, yeah. Look, it's not easy, but because I love them both so much, I make the effort. So I schedule my time frame for my celebrant work into my diary to allow for time to do my celebrant work, to have the off days, and I work around my husband as well. Him being away, it does help, so I do have a little bit more free time.
You have the
Get
second
that?
year.
Yeah. So I've got a little bit more free time
Yeah.
to do, you know, the work that I might need to do for my couples, and I don't feel like I'm taking anything out of my relationship. So essentially, most times I leave Tuesdays and Thursday nights for meetings with couples. I do make, you know, the odd occasion depending on how my week falls and how their week falls.
Yeah.
And then I will obviously weddings on Saturdays, sometimes on Sundays as well. And then with enough notice on a Friday I can do. Luckily I work similar to you, I can start work early, you know, or I can build up time so I could have an afternoon off. And that if I've got that time frame then I know what I'm working for. So it takes a lot of planning,
Yeah. I bet.
but you know, I feel like if you
Actually,
I go to bed at 9 o'clock. A little bit nannerish, no, but I think it's about you know prioritising what's important.
And I guess if it's feeding your creative side,
Exactly.
which is probably a little different to what you're doing for the OT,
and that's
keeps it fresh.
exactly. That's partly why I love it, because I've always loved writing. I've always loved being creative and you know writing stories, and as a young kid. And this fulfills that, and my love of weddings just all feeds into it as well. So it's
You
really
can
great.
tell.
Amazing.
Are
Yeah.
you going to start doing this full time?
Yeah. Is that the plan?
Who knows? Once
Okay.
we pop out a couple of babies, maybe.
Oh, Alright, semi-retirement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Enough about me.
Nice.
Please, I'm itching. Tell me about the proposal.
Do you want to tell the story?
I don't know, I feel like you tell it better, but I can do it.
You tell yours, I'll tell mine.
Okay, alright.
Oh, I'm very
Stay
intrigued.
posted.
Yeah.
So, how long have we been together? 6 years? Yeah.
Can you believe that? Crazy.
When did we meet? Where? Was it work? No, it was the gym.
Yeah, the gym.
Yeah, little fits though.
Yes, I won't lie. The first day he walked in, I was like, hello.
Well, why not?
Yeah, I
He's a
know,
very
right?
good-looking man.
Thank you. I believe so. Yeah, we started working out in the same time slot. We started coming to the same classes.
So I was a bit sneaky and I was checking you out through the mirror. And then I was like,
no!
it's about that time. She should be walking in now. And
Trying to be
see,
sus.
Walk along,
Yeah.
give me the eye. And I was like, is that me?
Trying to
Is
be
that-
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just sort of how it happened. And I guess we probably noticed that we were kind of in the same class and the conversations
Yes, naturally.
Yeah, and obviously that was something we had in common, so I guess that was easy for us to then be like,
A good
hey,
starting
we
point.
both like a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then we had Graham and Walter.
Yes.
Puppies?
Yeah. 0 to 100 real quick, didn't we?
Yeah.
We jumped
Don't do anything slow.
No,
Look, you know, it works for some people.
Yeah.
You know, there's no right or wrong answer.
Yes.
Yeah, we've made it work.
We have.
We got the puppies on board.
Uh-huh.
We did that holiday.
Yes.
So you hadn't been overseas before.
No, so that was interesting.
Lovely.
And obviously from the UK.
That's right, yes.
We figured why not go see my family.
Yes.
Turned into a big thing. Oh, wow.
Which is good because I was nervous about going overseas for the first time, and obviously you, coming from over there, was very confident.
Yes.
So it sort of helped me out.
Yeah.
Get over a bit of insecurity.
Yes.
When it came to traveling.
Almost scared of you
So.
Look, travel
It
will
was-
do that.
Yeah.
Confined spaces for long amounts of time.
I'm so glad my sister was there because they bonded.
That's good.
And it was like,
yeah.
okay,
It worked out
ladies
well.
time, ladies time.
Yeah.
Give me my space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Beautiful.
Then we bought the house.
Oh god, yes.
That was good.
That was the day.
I was about to ask, where does the proposal fit into all
yeah,
of this?
yeah. So we were having some good vibes, you know. Felt like it was moving along really well.
Yeah.
The holiday was a huge success.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
you know, traveling, but it just felt good.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we bought the house, felt like our lives were
Serious.
progressing.
Financial
Getting
commitment.
real, yeah.
So, sneaky little bottle of red,
Lovely.
cracked a couple of glasses, and got on one knee.
Oh, that's so gorgeous.
Yeah. It was perfect.
How lovely.
Yeah.
Just in your new home.
It was good, and
Yeah.
the boys were involved, so it was
Oh,
very,
stop.
very sweet. So Dylan had tied little signs around their neck. He'd had them, I don't even know how he did it, but they were waiting in another room. He got them to wait in another room. Meanwhile, I'm like, red wine.
Yeah.
It was a
It's
big
been a hard
day.
day.
It was a big day.
Yeah.
And then, so you came in, and you were being a bit coy, and I was like, what's going on here? And you called Walter in, and he came in with a sign on his neck that said, we have a question to ask you.
Oh, stop.
And I was like, ah!
And you should love that.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh my
my
god, it
goodness.
was perfect. And then Graham came in very quickly afterwards, and he had a little box tied
Oh.
to his collar. So obviously I'm screaming and crying, and he's like, "Don't scare the dogs.
Yes.
Like, calm down."
Yes.
And got down on one knee, and obviously I said yes. And then you had to wrangle the collar off Graham to get the
I
to
was
get
being
the
so
box.
careful, I didn't want to damage the blue.
Fair enough.
Oh.
Yes, that Tiffany. So yeah, it was perfect.
That's
Yeah.
just sounds amazing.
It could. I honestly don't think it could have been better.
That's
Oh.
the sappy bit that I can't tell.
Yeah.
I let Courtney do that.
Okay, so
Exactly.
fast forward to now,
Uh-huh.
what's happening with the wedding? So it's at Chateau Apollo,
It
is that
is.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we booked that in. We wanted to get that in nice and
Mhm,
early, so
mhm.
we could.
And the venue manager was really nice.
He was amazing. Sam
Yeah.
was brilliant. And have you ever been there? Have you done
No,
it?
I've heard a lot about it because
Okay.
it seems to be a bit of the hot venue at the moment.
Yeah, and I think we got in quite early, so it was
Mm.
before they
Okay.
started filling out the dates.
Yeah,
so.
okay, so yeah, I'm really excited because I
It's
think it's
beautiful.
Yes, I have
It was
seen
so
photos.
beautiful. So it's pretty much as soon as we walked in and we saw that staircase, it was like done. I'm
Yeah.
done. And you were like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
keep the lady
amazing.
happy.
But thinking about photos,
Mm.
that space will look really good.
Mhm.
And
It's gonna be
I reckon
incredible.
with some of the things that we've got planned
Yeah.
that we want to do for the ceremony,
Are the dogs going to be involved?
well,
We're thinking about
Yeah.
we wanted to talk to you about
Yeah,
that because
yeah.
obviously it's a big deal, and as you can hear, there are like can be a little bit rowdy.
Yes.
So is that something that you done before? Have
Yes.
you had success with
I
that?
have seen it quite a bit.
Okay.
I
Okay.
haven't done it yet in one of my ceremonies.
okay.
However, I have seen it done in
Mhm,
others.
mhm.
There are actually, because it's becoming so popular now, there are actually small businesses that will pick up the dogs, get them dressed if there's
Oh,
any little outfits
you
that they
love
need
that.
to wear. And they will bring them to the ceremony venue.
Because that was
and
our issue, was sort of logistics and how do we do it in amongst
they
everything.
do it all. So there's one company at the moment I've seen quite a bit of on the social media side of things. They're called I Do Pause.
Okay.
And I've got
Okay, yeah,
I've got some info for you. So
Okay.
if you ever have questions, I can send it
I
through.
might
But
get you to email me that because I'm so excited
definitely,
for everything.
no, that's and they'll do it all. They pick up the dogs,
Okay.
get them dressed, bring them to the venue. They'll walk them down the aisle, or if there's someone that you want to walk the dogs down the aisle, and then they can pick them up after, bring them home, feed them, put them to bed. Pretty much.
That is
So then you
I
don't
didn't
have
even
to
know.
worry.
No,
That is
It's
amazing.
the beauty
That
of
sounds
this
so
world.
It's super convenient.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is good.
because that was one of the things that I wasn't sure about.
Mm,
Courtney's talked a lot about it. and
Desperate to have it.
Look, I love it, but yeah, I was worried about the logistics.
Yeah, the
So,
logistics will
okay,
be
cool.
sorted.
Yeah.
Obviously
Awesome.
for a fee,
But
but
still.
if it fits in the budget,
Yes.
Can
and
you
it's
just not tell them that it's for a wedding?
Yeah.
That'll
Dress them
check
like
now.
this, but it's not for a wedding.
It's a 30th
Yeah.
with rings.
So,
I love it.
talking about costings,
Mm.
why don't we
Yes.
knuckle down?
Good.
Okay.
Before we
Very
do,
good.
are there any burning questions that you have before we kind of get into the nitty gritty of things?
What were we talking about the other day? Kind of.
How do vows work?
Yes.
Do we have to have
Good
our
question.
own?
Yes.
It is completely up to you.
Okay.
So,
I kind of feel like that's more pressure because I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm doing.
yeah, we have a solution for that. So
Okay.
basically, when conducting a ceremony, there are legal words, legal sentences that I do need to use in some sections of the ceremony. That's just to adhere to the Marriage Act,
Yeah.
because this is a legally binding ceremony.
And
so
is that in our vows or in other
yes,
parts?
so
Okay.
there is a section where you do announce what marriage is according to law in Australia. So I have to legally say that because that's according to the Act.
Mhm.
And then also before your vows, we have to there's a specific sentence that you say, and you have to say your full name. So
We say.
yeah, but
Okay.
essentially how we do it in the ceremony is that I keep the microphone away from me, and I will get you to repeat after me,
I'll
so
say
that
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna
Do
remember
not
that.
I also, whatever you decide to do with your vows, I make them up and will have them there for you on the day.
Good.
So you don't need to worry about
So
that.
like we're reading them, or will you do the tell us thing?
So I will say the legal part first and get you to repeat that,
Okay.
and then I will give you your vows and you'll read them.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that it sometimes sounds a bit funny if I'm reading your vows and then you're repeating them.
And this
Okay.
is a pause.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So rather for it to be more natural, I like to get my couples to read, but then depending on what you want to do as well. And then within that regards, your vows can be as personable and customizable as you would like them to be, or you can literally say, Lauren, can you put these little bits together for us? Or, there can be very structured vows as well.
Yeah.
Within the ceremony package that I give my couples, I've got different options that you can kind of pick and choose from as well. So in that package, which will happen closer to the time of the wedding, but there's, it will kind of be a way of you building your ceremony.
Yeah.
So that you can pick and choose where the different sections need to go. And
Okay, good. Thank
Yeah.
God. Because we were kind of like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
I've got so many things I want to say, but I don't know how to.
Yeah, how long does
Yeah.
a vow go for?
well, vows can be as long as or as short as you would like them to
Okay.
be.
Okay.
Some couples will literally have a whole page.
Will it be weird if mine's a page and yours is like?
Look, well, I do actually try and get them to be fairly similar
Okay,
in that
good,
sense,
thank
just so that
God.
we're not standing there for 10 minutes while Courtney's reading and
Pouring my heart
2
out.
seconds while Dylan's reading.
That's good
so
to
there's
know.
so there's a bit of flow to the
Okay,
ceremony.
that's good.
But yeah, so that's the vows part. The
Okay.
ceremony itself, it can be as short as 20 minutes.
Oh.
It just
Okay.
it
Wow,
depends
that's
on
good.
Yeah.
it depends on what you want to put in there. So how long you would like. You say, how I generally do it is we'll introduce the couple, talk a bit about you and your love story, so the whole house and the red wine and the dogs, and
For
then
everyone to hear.
Yeah. It's really sweet. I love it.
so essentially anything you say, I will use, and because it helps to build the character of your ceremony.
Okay.
And that's what we loved about.
Yeah.
That was
When we
nice.
saw you
yeah.
first,
Yeah.
because that's, I guess, how you make it feel like we've known you.
Exactly.
You've known us.
Exactly.
Good.
So, and then,
Yeah.
and then, what we would do is a lot of people will have, say, maybe a poem or a reading. They might have 2. Some people will have a little ritual that they do. Like a lot of people do lighting of candles. Or
Is this
Okay.
to the side of the vows?
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
alright.
So the little
I was like,
aspects
that's a
that you.
lot of
Yeah.
Yeah, that you get, you
It
work
is,
it
yeah.
into the ceremony, and I would work with you of where to put it in the ceremony so it flows.
Yeah.
Good.
And then we do the rings after the vows, and then essentially that's all the legal side for in front of the guests, and then we go and sign the registry, and that's all your marriage certificates and everything that gets formalised.
Yeah.
And then we announce you as a couple, and that's when the fun starts.
Forever.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Okay. So, shall we get into fee structure first,
Yes,
and then we can
Cool.
have a legal paperwork?
Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay, so basically, I've kind of separated what I do on the total cost of my services. So essentially for today, in order to secure the date, it's 20%. So my total fee is $700, and I'll talk about how we break that down. So to book this date, the date that you want for next year, will be $140. So if we can do bank transfer, cash, whatever you would like, whatever works, that's fine. We can sort that out after, not a problem. Okay.
When do you want that today?
Well, as soon, I would say in the next couple of days,
Okay.
just so that at least we can,
have that.
so then I know that I'm not having to potentially say no to other couples.
Yeah.
And then if you guys do choose to go with someone else, which would be totally fine, but it's just to secure that, so to speak. Okay. And then also within that $700, you get unlimited administration time with me. So that's phone calls, emails, text messages, right up until the lead up of the wedding. Okay. And what will happen is after now is things will slow down a little bit, and then what I like to do is about 3 months before your wedding date is I'll send you a questionnaire and that ceremony package that I was talking about building your ceremony. The questionnaire has some specific questions that relate to you as a couple, as individuals, what you like, what you don't like, what's annoying, all those fun things.
We
And
answer them together.
Yeah.
Is that one questionnaire?
it is 2 separate questionnaires.
Okay.
You answer them separately.
Anonymous.
And it's anonymous to each other. So
Okay.
you will essentially find out,
Truth be told.
you will find out when you read the draft of your ceremony, obviously. Or some couples like to leave it a surprise.
Ooh.
Okay.
So that's something to think about as well.
Mhm.
Okay. And then, so that's about 3 months before. So then that gives me that time to start building that ceremony and putting it all together.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then we also do a wedding rehearsal as well at your venue. So usually people do that a couple of days before.
Yeah.
You know, sharing already.
Thanks.
So yeah, and then it's also my time to actually create the ceremony as well. So that can take a couple of hours. It depends on how in depth the ceremony is going to be, how my creative juices get flowing, that sort of thing.
So in that 3 months beforehand, can we say we get 3 weeks before the wedding? I'm like, oh, I forgot that I wanted to tell him this.
Yeah.
How up to what stage can we be contacting you to add or take or
I would
change
say
the ceremony?
probably at the latest would be the rehearsal, because that at least would give me a few days. If I need to add or take something out, then it's okay.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
so
really
that
good.
still gives me a couple of days. But obviously that will be something that we can talk about closer to the date as well. Okay. And then I also have a PA system that I use. So I'll have my own microphone and speaker. Some people do use mine for ceremony music. It just depends on what you or the venue is doing. So obviously when I leave, I take it. So that's something to think about. A lot of venues though nowadays are pretty good, and I'm sure Chateau
I'm pretty
Apollo
sure
will
they
do the
have
same.
their own system, which they said you could use if you wanted to.
Oh, brilliant!
It's
Yeah,
totally up to
yeah,
your
yeah.
comfort, what makes you
Exactly.
feel
Yeah.
comfortable on the day.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Because obviously wedding rehearsal, then I can have a chat to them too, because we'll work out the logistics of everything. Okay. It includes travel, so I guess, but being in the city, it's not too far away, which is good. So usually, if it's anything above 50 kilometres, I'll charge a travel fee. But for you guys, that's not a problem. And then after the ceremony, it's finalising all that paperwork. I have 14 days to submit it to birth, deaths and marriages. So I will submit this paperwork, the marriage certificate, everything all together. It all goes to them. And then that's it. After that, you'll have, it depends on how busy they are, but then you can apply for your actual copy of your marriage certificate.
Oh, so what we sign?
Don't we get that on a day?
Yeah.
You do get a copy,
Okay.
and that is the ceremony copy.
Okay.
So there are actually 3 forms that you will sign on the day. So one will be for birth, deaths and marriages to lodge with them. One will be for me to keep, because I need to keep that as part of my records. And the other one will be the ceremony one that you will keep.
And so the one that we're eventually going to have to get for them, is that for more of the
legal side of things. Yeah. So if you do decide to change your name,
Right.
that's what you'll need to have.
Okay.
So
the one that we get on the day is not going to satisfy that.
No, it won't. That's purely ceremonial.
Okay.
But
Oh,
don't.
so like a frame.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
Okay.
Don't lose it, because you can't get another one.
Okay.
Because they've all got their own unique number, and it gets added to a registry.
Okay.
So once you have it,
That's it.
that's it. Whereas,
I'm gonna
I'm going to give that to you.
Yeah.
No one knows I'm going to lose that.
whereas your marriage certificate that you will apply for, if you do lose that, you can apply for it again, obviously, because they've got
So it's like a birth certificate.
yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It all comes from the same department.
Okay.
So really
No,
good.
but there's no
Yeah.
There
Okay.
we go.
So, how's that all sound?
Good.
Are we happy with that?
Yeah.
So much stuff that I didn't really realise.
If you're all okay with that, Courtney, if you wouldn't mind, I've just got this little fees, notice here. If you would just sign down the bottom saying that that's all okay.
It's looking good.
Did you read it all there?
Well, she spoke through most of it.
Okay.
He's very good at reading, obviously, working the bank.
Working in the bank, yeah.
I'm like, I trust you, yes. Beautiful. Thank you.
Beautiful. And Dylan, if you wouldn't mind signing as
I think
well.
I'll read it.
This is why we're
It's not
good.
binding until I've signed it, right?
I know that he knows all the facts.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, look, it's fine. It's
All
fine.
happy?
Yeah, alright.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I'll sign it too, just as a witness.
Perfect, thank you.
But this doesn't secure our date until we've given you the cash.
Yeah, that's
Money.
right. Okay. All right. Now down to the legal side of things. So when a couple decides that they want to get married in Australia, we need to notify the government So that's just part of starting that legal process. Okay, so what we do is we complete a form which is known as the Notice of Intention to Marry. And you're letting the government know that you are intending to marry. Says it in the title.
Yeah.
So wait, you have to like apply to get married?
It's not applying as such, but it's basically saying that you are two people who you say you are. You're Courtney, you're Dylan, here's the evidence that I'm that person.
To legitimise who we are.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then it's just saying that you're both free and willing to marry. So just to keep it so that we're not breaking any rules in the act.
Okay.
Because there obviously are, there would be unfortunate situations where marriages would happen where people may have not consented and those sorts of things. So, or someone might be divorced and then they haven't said that they were divorced, and so then that's a problem because they're not technically free if they haven't. We haven't seen that paperwork to say that they're divorced. They're not. I don't know that they're actually divorced.
Got you. So this is what this is proving. It's
Exactly.
like dotting the I's, crossing the T's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Making sure
Due
we're
diligence.
exactly.
Yeah.
We're just doing everything legally that we need to do because that's what marriage is. It's abiding by an act.
I guess you forget that it's like it's a legal deal.
Yeah.
You do, and that's because we make it so wonderful. It's so personable. But we do need to do this. So I'll start with you, Dylan. What documents did you bring with you today so we can fill in this paperwork?
Documents?
Yes. So,
Oh, you said about... did you?
I got you.
thank you. So what have we got here? Passport.
Passport and license, darling.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will
So-
have these.
Yeah, cool. There you go.
Beautiful. So I'm just going to fill these in quickly. So feel free to chat about yourselves. I need to make sure that it's all correct.
How did you go with Stuart today in your meeting?
Yeah.
You okay?
So he ended up just, standard Stuart waffle.
Okay.
It was so painful. I wish he would be more concise.
But
But
good thing you worked on the deep breathing.
yeah. It got there.
Good.
But you know what? Pleasant surprise at the end. Promotion.
For you or for Stuart?
For me.
Why didn't you tell me?
Well, because it's not like a title promotion.
Okay.
It's I'm getting bigger responsibilities.
Okay.
So I was like, oh,
Are
if
you
you're
getting a
gonna
little
make me...
bit more money?
Yeah, I said to him, I was like, I'm gonna be a little bit cheeky and ask for more money. And
That's
he's
not
like,
cheeky. You earned
really?
that.
You just got a pay rise? I'm worth it.
Right, that's
So,
incredible.
Yeah, deeply thinking.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, pretty
Yay.
stoked.
That's
So,
an amazing day.
champagne where we going?
Yes, please.
Good.
Uh-huh.
What about you, Beth? How's it going?
It was okay. So Sarah's been really sick, as you know, so that's not good. So she came back to her first sessions for about 8 weeks, and the poor thing, she's just come out of her chemo, and she's being cleared to come back to like one-on-ones.
Wow.
But it's pretty intense. She's
Yeah.
not very
Thank you.
well,
Cheers.
but yeah, it was good to see her.
Did you see Brian today?
I
Speaking of him
did.
reminded me.
Yes, yeah, and he's good. He's good. His holiday was amazing.
Good.
Sorry.
Holiday at 104.
Yeah, like he's doing well. He's
Grease
doing
and
well.
loaded.
Can I, Dylan, just before I forget,
Yeah.
you were born in the UK.
Yes.
When did you come to Australia?
December 2000.
Okay, so we're in December now, so 19 years
Yeah.
ago. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Holy
That's
moly,
good.
baby!
It's a while ago.
Yeah.
We just like to get that. The government just likes to know some other
Keeping
stats.
eyes on you.
Sneaky.
Yeah, it's just to
Sneaky,
add
yeah.
some statistics to the Australian Bureau of Statistics and that sort of thing.
Okay,
So
like census stuff.
yeah, exactly. Courtney, what have you got for me today?
I also have my passport. You're welcome. And
Thank you.
license.
Beautiful.
Don't judge my photo.
Oh, don't be silly.
She's hot.
I am looking very angry.
Absolutely not.
Don't
man. Let
mess
get a
with me,
closer look.
face. Yeah.
No.
Oh gosh.
Is that the
Yeah.
day that it was round 2 for us?
Round 2. As in when I asked you to marry me?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Really?
Yes. Well, I just love the fact that I had a ring, and so on the weekend, so that was on a Monday.
Yeah.
So
Why were you looking angry then?
I don't know. I get nervous in photos, so that's going to be fun on a new day. So that was fun. So I don't know if you noticed that Dylan's also wearing.
Yes, I did notice a little bit of
I didn't want him to miss out, so I thought I would put our love to the test.
Yes.
And I waited until Sunday morning, bird's nest hair, down on one knee naked.
Oh my.
That's probably why she's
He-
really
Yeah.
That's
I
why
just
we-
looked at her and I was like, the fuck are you
Oh my
doing?
goodness.
That's why we don't tell my story.
That's the story that you tell people.
We
that
keep
you
that, but
trust.
yeah, probably don't put
She
that
said,
in
yeah,
the
she said
ceremony.
not to tell it.
No. I might not use those words.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
please.
But that was not. I feel like because the girls always get the recognition. It's kind of nice for him to be engaged too.
Yeah, well, it is cute. And look, I get lots of comments. People are like, are you married? I'm like, not yet. But my fiance is very
It's lovely. So we're hoping, I think it'll set a trend. I think more people will start doing that. I reckon.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
We'll have a good
Each to
week.
their own, hey?
Yeah.
All right, so we filled in all the paperwork. I've got what I need to do. Dylan, if you wouldn't mind, pass that to you.
Okay.
So we've got just there your party one, and
Yep.
it goes over to the next page. And
Okay.
if you just can, that's all okay there. So just sign up the top
Signature,
of it.
yeah. You don't need one on the first page.
Not on the first page, no.
Notice of intent. Yeah, cool. Okay. Conjugal status.
He is the.
He
is the.
is very breakdown.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
I like to know what I'm doing.
Well, absolutely. You're signing your life away quite literally.
Yeah.
Give it to me, baby.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay,
There you
and
go.
Miss Crosby.
Thank you.
Same for you, please. So your party two.
Beautiful.
And over the page there, so you can sign there if it's all correct.
Thank you.
You don't have to read this time, babe. I already read.
Good on you, babe. Thank you.
Wonderful. And I will sign as the witness.
Thank you.
Okay.
Seeming a bit real now, isn't it?
Signing stuff.
Signing things.
Ooh, serious.
That's it. Okay. And today we go for the 11th.
Crazy.
We haven't really talked about it.
How do you mean?
Thoughts on what we're going to do with our last name?
We haven't really talked about it.
It's becoming a thing to hyphenate, right?
Yeah.
It's totally up to the couple.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel.
I don't want a long last name.
Me neither. It makes it tricky.
Alright, so we're going to pick one.
Oh.
Mine,
Paper, scissors,
obviously.
rock.
Can I have a really good segue right now? As part of my requirement as a marriage celebrant, I need to give you some information on relationship education.
Ah.
Do we look like we need it?
So no. So this is a document that's produced by the government as per the Marriage Act.
Okay.
It's called Happily Ever Before and After.
Ah.
So it
That's
goes
cute.
through just a few, I guess, things to think about heading into marriage.
Right.
Certainly doesn't stop at that pre-marriage stage. This is something that you carry through without your relationship. So during your marriage, should there be tough times, really great times, that sort of thing. But essentially just gets you to think about those things, how you might communicate about certain issues or topics or ideas. It's not necessarily always negative, it can be positive as well. And just to know that there are resources either online that you can do as a couple. There's a lot of people tend to do. That's the age we live in, where you do a lot of things online, like questionnaires, and it might
Is
bring
there a test?
not a test.
Are we going to pause?
Yeah.
Not a test. It's more around, I guess, talking about these things as a couple that you may not have thought about before, and you're making a lifelong commitment, and you know it's part of that process and that journey together, learning more about each other and what you might think about certain things. And then also there are options as well if you want to go and speak to a counsellor and do some of those sorts of I guess activities or tasks to kind of work on your relationship and set yourself up for a really great start to your marriage. So
That's
Is there anything required?
No.
Or is it just free?
just got to give you this.
Okay.
So there you go. So it's good to know.
If
And look,
there was somebody that we wanted to talk to, do you know anybody local that you could recommend?
yes. So there are some really great local agencies that are government subsidised, which I find are usually pretty good. One that pops to mind all the time is Relationships Australia. So they deal with all sorts of different types of situations with, you know, to do with any kind of relationship. And pre-marriage counselling is something that they offer.
Hyphenated last name?
That's in here.
Yes,
Yeah. Changing your name.
Yes,
There
it's
you
part of
go.
the process. It is a decision that you've got to
Okay.
make. Whether you want to keep it, change your whole last name. It's something to talk about. So there's, you know, but also then it's also things like, you know, once you are married, does your job change? You know, are there additional stresses if you decide to have children? You know, how does that change the relationship? So all those things. Oh, wow.
Two, honey. Come on.
There you go. So just
I'll win that fight.
so those are the things that they kind of think about as well.
That's really good to know.
Yeah, lots of options out there. But then again, some people do it, some people don't. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a better marriage than someone else. It's just about what's right for you.
Options. It's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we talk about that at work all the time.
Yeah,
that's
Just,
it.
you need to know about this so that
Yeah.
if you want to use it,
Uh-huh.
cool,
Yeah.
thank you.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. How are we feeling, guys?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. A bit
Yeah.
weird. A little bit surreal. Like it's like the paperwork and the
Yeah.
serious stuff.
Mm.
And
That's
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
it's exciting though. It's
So
exciting.
I'll just tick my little box to say I've given you your little
Lovely.
documents there. So in terms of the legal, we are done.
You just want money now.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't
yes.
we all?
As much as I'd love to do it for love,
Yes.
but yes. So
yeah.
we
You got vet bills to pay.
Yes, I know. Poor
But
little.
I hope, yeah. he's got
That's okay. He's
Yeah.
fine. He will be fine. So yes. So other than that, we're all done.
Wow.
I've got your details.
Mhm.
I've got your details.
Excellent. Do we need to get in contact with you in that 3-month span? Or
No,
do you
I
expect
have it locked
yeah.
in my diary.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay,
So
good.
it's all set to go.
Beautiful.
Okay, but in the meantime, if you've got any questions,
Yeah.
questions about vendors,
Mm.
you know, queries about how things have been done at other weddings, please feel free to get in contact.
Yeah.
Side note,
Yes.
celebrant, wedding planner,
Mm.
different, yeah?
Yes, so your wedding planner will help coordinate all of those things.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess as much or as little as you would like them to. So
Yeah.
they can help coordinate, say, running sheets, setup, you know, help with, you know, getting the food menus, organising the photographer, making sure people are in the right places at the right time. So
Yeah.
that's where their role comes into it. More often than not at the ceremony, if there is a wedding coordinator or planner, myself and then we'll have a discussion about how things are going to go.
Okay,
Do
so
they,
you'll. Yeah.
sorry, honey. Do they come to the rehearsal as well? So
Yes,
you get a
they
chance
can
to
do.
meet them?
Yeah,
and
it's a good
just-
idea.
Okay.
It's a good
Yeah.
idea because then they can get a lay of the land as well of how things are going to work, so we can all be on the same page.
Excellent.
Because at the end of the day,
Mm.
you two don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
That's why everyone else is involved, and it'll all be done. Okay?
Yay.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
No,
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I will see you out.
Beautiful. Thank you for the cookie. It was
Oh,
lovely.
yes.
I took one for the road there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Good.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Don't forget your paperwork.
Oh,
There you
yeah.
go.
All right. See you.
Thank you.
Too busy thinking about food.
Yeah.